Good day, I am Clarime Sol taking Filipino Philosophy, and today I'll be presenting my paper entitled The Use of Artificial Intelligence, Deepfakes as an Avenue for Sexual Violence. The discussion proper will be divided into 5 parts. First is the introduction where I'll be discussing deepfakes and their function. Next is followed by the argument that I'm trying to prove, whether deepfakes is morally wrong, which is supported by the factors contributing to violence against women. This will be explained by using 2 frameworks, the second sex and the feminist ethics of care. And using those frameworks, we'll now assess deepfakes, which regard women as the other, and how can they resist that notion. And lastly is the conclusion and recommendation. Since the birth of artificial intelligence, numerous computer-generated programs have also emerged. Along with this emergence is the creation of deepfake technologies. The term deepfake is derived from combining deep learning with fake media that generally uses softwares and algorithms to produce inauthentic audio and visual materials. In other words, it creates falsified videos and images which could bring serious harm to the victims, mostly women. Negative activities associated with the act of deepfaking include pornography, another form of image-based sexual violence. In foreign countries, female celebrities and other known personalities are highly susceptible to victimization brought by deepfake technologies through finding the uploaded altered videos in different pornographic websites. The same thing goes with the Philippines, and if this continue, the danger possessed by deepfakes could lead to an epidemic, from the making of deepfake pornography, which promotes sexual violence. The initial work of deepfakes is to create fake audio and visual materials before it could actually make hyper-realistic videos. Specifically, it follows 3 corresponding steps. First is the creation of fake materials, whereas the creator mimics the person's facial expressions, movements, voices, and any other features essential for the creation, which is followed by involving a different footage of another person. Second is that the creator will collect multiple facials of a person and then place it into an AI algorithm called the encoder to identify similar features from 2 different footage for image compression. This will then be processed into another AI algorithm called the decoder to recover the faces of the subjects from compressed images. Once the process is done, the creator will now use the general adversarial networks or GANs, a method that is used to detect inadequacies and other lapses to improve and produce hyper-realistic videos. In that regard, the study argues that deepfakes is morally wrong and is contradictory to feminism. To support the argument, there are 2 factors why deepfakes are used for sexual violence against women. First is the fulfillment of male sexual desires, wherein footage of women from social media are collected only to produce personalized porn for personal benefits. These materials are non-consensual, so women are engaged in sexual activities without their knowledge. Next is the concept of revenge porn that is usually used to threaten women for personal entertainment. One factor to consider is that this does not necessarily involve interpersonal relationships, but rather any man could be a perpetrator of deepfake materials. For further analysis, the study used 2 frameworks, The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir and the Feminist Ethics of Care. For the former, it simply illustrates the condition on how women are regarded as the other. This is in relation to the premise that man is represented as the self or the subject and the woman, on the other hand, is represented as the object. It is also significant to consider that the self or the subject obtains its identity from the other, and that the other obtains its identity from the self as well. For the latter, it focuses on providing care to women rather than caring for humanity in general. It is also an ethic promoting resistance to injustices that women suffered in patriarchal society. And lastly, it holds a judgment on the morality of a particular act based on whether an action is right or wrong. By using these two frameworks, we'll now move to the assessment on the creation of deepfakes. Initially, it is designed for the purpose of technological assistance, including the following: educational purposes, entertainment, artworks, business-related activities, and for medical use. However, deepfakes became prominent for non-technological assistance, such as using it for malicious purposes, disinformation and propaganda, and mostly is for pornography, in which 99% of victims are proven to be women. Some known Filipino celebrities subjected to deepfakes are Ivana Alawi, upon having a fake nude video which circulated online, Maine Mendoza's deepfake porn video which was labeled as an alleged scandal, and Miss Universe 2018 Catriona Gray for having fake nude photo after the issue regarding her ex-partner Clint Pondad's cryptic post on Instagram. Other deepfake cases of Filipino celebrities were the malicious contents attributed to Shu Ramirez and Maurice Racal after having a fabricated nude photo posted online. This fake material circulated and were believed by the general public as authentic materials. Following the second sex, evidences suggest that the act of deepfaking treats women as merely sexual objects, which is evident when women are placed in continuous gender-based violence. Amnesty International has found out that there is a silencing effect, a term used to describe how women are being discouraged from participating in online settings. Some studies also found that deepfakes is used to degrade women, making them more inferior from male supremacy. Another interesting factor is that male can also be the subject of deepfakes, but the cases are mostly not associated with pornography, and only commentary-based, unlike women. That being said, men as the self or the subjects asserts higher dominance as deepfakes does not degrade their value, while women as the other were only represented as the sexual object of men. This is supported by a study that image-based violence is likely perpetrated by men. On one hand, revenge porn could lead to a more serious concern. Specifically, deepfakes could end the victim's career. As a result, those victims experience difficulty in terms of finding employment, as well as having slow responses from online platforms where deepfake proliferates. Another thing is that it also brings reputational harm and emotional distress. Following the ethics of care, evidence suggests that deepfakes is morally wrong. One thing to consider in applying the feminist ethics of care is the mere fact on how can women resist from the injustices in a patriarchal society. This includes regulating deepfake technologies. While the other countries are ahead, the Philippines still lag behind since only a few policies were made or proposed. First is the Senate Resolution number 188 filed by Recto during the 18th Congress to propose policies for the mitigation of deepfake and other AI malicious purposes. The resolution already reached its first regular session and now remains pending in the committee. the Committee on Science and Technology, and the Committee on Justice and Human Rights. Senate Resolution number 188 condemned the acts of deepfakes, whereas technical capabilities on AI and machine learning become more widespread. There is a need to determine the systems and policies needed not only in the prevention, mitigation, detection, and investigation of the malicious utilization of AI and machine learning, but more importantly, in bolstering the physical and digital security of the Philippine political, economic, social, and financial institutions. Next is House Bill number 5406, or the Anti-Deepfake Act of 2019, that defines deepfake as unlawful if the creations are with malice and non-consensual. Both bill and resolution adhere to ethics of care, as it aimed to provide care for women who were once or continuously aggravated by sexual violence. To conclude, the use of deepfakes and deepfake technologies for non-technological assistance are proven to be morally wrong and contradictory to feminism. This is due to the reasons that there is a deceptive view of othering to women when numerous fabricated audiovisual materials are mostly attributed to them, despite the fact that men are also susceptible. Women also experience higher negative implications than men, including employment loss and emotional distress. Note that only the use of deepfakes is morally wrong, and that the purpose and intent of its creation is not considered as morally wrong or unethical. Despite the efforts made by the Philippine government to combat deepfakes, proposed bill and resolution remains pending in deliberations, and no further enactment from the Congress. Therefore, the study recommends that the state should increase pressure on the Philippine legislature in order to push the passage of HB 5406 and other related laws to define deepfakes, the extent on which deepfakes is considered unlawful, and to penalize the perpetrators in accordance with the law. With that regard, the state does not only adheres to the feminist value of caring for women, but also diminishing the concepts of misogynistic practices within a society. That's all, and thank you for listening. The remaining sections are my sources.